Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
Proceed to your post assignment. All units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFit Nation. MisFit Nation. The MisFit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. It's Tuesday. The boys are ready. But tonight, first, we stop and pause and pay homage to Sergeant Xiao Deng. End of watch Monday, June 23rd, 2025, Los Angeles Police Department, California. Keep his family, his friends, his community in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. But now, as the world trembled, bombs were flying. The world trembled in fear as peace was found. The world is doing all right, all right, all right. The boys did not tremble in fear. No, the boys did not run for the hills. They continued to drive forward to find ways to help their fellow man. And tonight, they bring you a great guest. So reach up, pull down those shoulder harnesses tight, buckle your chin strap, and put on your underwear. Because it's time, boys.
Oh my God, I forgot my underwear. Did you put yours on?
I got mine on.
All right. Then we're good. At least one of us is ready.
My commando wear my underwear.
Good evening, Mr. Nation. Hello, Jake.
Hello, Stephen. I missed you last week.
No, you didn't. You were out having a good time with family, and that's what you deserve to do.
Hey, 7 o'clock rolled around, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder what Stephen's doing, because I did not have any internet, so I could not see how you did solo. But you know,
I pushed through it. I did good. I hope.
good deal. Good deal. I might have to go back and watch that episode, and
Thank you.
possibly do a critique.
Okay.
How's your week been so far?
Hot,
Yeah.
sweaty, and people coming in my shop saying, "Oh my God, it's so hot out there. Why can't we leave you?"
Can you
And-
charge my air conditioner?
At least 3 a day.
Well, we spent the weekend processing chickens and got them all finished up last night, and so now we got a freezer full of chickens.
Mm-hmm.
I like sending chickens to freezer camp. Well, hey, that's enough about us. Tell you what, we have a great guest tonight, Katie Lane. She is the founder of Thrive Alcohol Recovery. And let me tell you what, I've been through the website. I have read the reviews. I've read the system. I've kind of read her story. It's an amazing story of how, let's let her tell it.
Right.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Katie.
Thanks
How
for
are you?
having me here.
Great to have you.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the family.
Thank you. I'm loving the vibe so far.
Hey, that's we like to throw it out there. We're live, so you never know what's going to get said. You never know what questions are going to get asked. So,
And you trust me to be live, so hey, okay.
Our show's your show.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're just here to kind of facilitate and feed questions to you from our great listening audience. And speaking of that, let me address the listening audience real quick. If you are out there, if you're feeling the darkness, you don't have anyone to talk to, get on that phone, dial 988. If you're a veteran, take option 1. Somebody will talk to you. If you do not get the result that you want there, or you still need somebody to talk to, reach out to me, reach out to Stephen. It's Jake at themisfitnation.com. It's Stephen at themisfitnation.com. Leave us your number. We'll call you back. There's no use of you being out there and doing this all alone. Everyone has moments, and when they need a friend or they need somebody to listen to them, give us a call. Give us a call. We will help. All right, that's enough of our public service announcement. But we will address that again. But Katie, we didn't go through much of your bio. I read all about you. You can tell your story better than anyone else. So start from wherever you want to start to how Katie got to where she is today.
Yeah, and just God bless you for the work you're doing to support veterans. My dad is a Vietnam veteran, so I understand the toll that it can take. So thank you for that. I feel like that's an area where I clearly don't have personal experience. But yeah, I just commend you for that. And maybe the information I'm going to share could help veterans. I've worked with veterans who've struggled with alcohol issues. So even if this, helps one person or helps a loved one, it's, I hope the information gets out there. So, yeah, my name's Katie Lane. I struggled with alcohol for nearly 10 years, basically my entire 20s, that whole decade, and was in a place where I couldn't get out of this very toxic daily binge drinking cycle. I tried abstinence. I tried white knuckling it. I went to a total of 2 AA meetings, just didn't feel right for me at that time. My challenge was I sincerely wanted to get this issue under control. I hated that I was destroying my health and my life with my drinking, but I couldn't quit long term. Then in 2017, stumbled upon a TEDx talk on a YouTube video, which now has like 5 million views, of someone talking about this neuroscience treatment for alcohol addiction that actually didn't require abstinence. It kind of meets you where you're at, and it helps your brain unlearn alcohol addiction. When I learned about this, it seemed too good to be true. I'm like, I've been trying to fix this issue for years. Why haven't I ever heard of this before? But I knew I had to give it a try. The treatment involves using this generic medicine that requires a prescription, but it's been approved for alcohol for over 30 years. It's called naltrexone. So my first step was getting prescribed the medication, which was surprisingly difficult because even though it's a generic drug that's been approved by the FDA for 30 years and is non-addictive and cheap and all of that, most doctors don't know about it. And that's still true today. So after kind of going to a bunch of different doctors, I finally got the prescription. And it changed my life, like not overnight, but over the course of a year. It completely not only fixed my drinking, but that was just a beautiful ripple effect into so many other areas of my life. I didn't realize how much my drinking impacted so many areas of my life. But as I healed from it, healed from 10-year toxic relationship with alcohol, it just, as you can imagine, positively impacted many areas of my life as well, my relationships, my health, my spirituality, all of that. And then I was so shocked by the results I was having, and I started it in 2017. About a month or two into the treatment, I started making videos on YouTube just to be like, hey, I'm a real person and this is working for me, because there wasn't a lot out there at the time. Like there was that TEDx talk, and then you didn't really see anybody else talking about it. So it seemed too good to be true. I started making videos and telling my story, kind of documenting my journey month by month on what was happening. And then that led to me mentoring people and then coaching people and then launching Thrive Alcohol Recovery, which is an online program that I run now that helps people with this specific treatment. Launched that in 2021.
Awesome.
Now, if I can ask a question, the drug that was prescribed, you said it was FDA approved. What was it approved for? Was it approved just for that, or was it approved for something else, but it works for that?
Good question. Originally, it was approved for opiate use disorder because what naltrexone is it's an opiate blocker. So if someone takes naltrexone and then they try to take opiates, they don't get any high effect. It blocks the high. But because what they learned through research is that alcohol actually works in the same reward center in the brain that opiates do. And so what they found is that it could treat alcohol addiction in addition to opiate use disorder. And now it's been shown that it can treat compulsive sex disorders, gambling, food addiction, porn addiction, perhaps marijuana addiction, nicotine addiction, or cigarette addiction, I should say. There's been research into all of these different areas. So it was originally for opiate use disorder, but it was approved for alcohol in '94 by the FDA.
Okay. Now, how does it compare? Because I know somebody very, very close to me that when they were getting off of opiates was using Suboxone. And that in itself was hard for him to get off of.
Yeah.
Does the naltrexone have the same, like if, say I've used it X amount of years or whatever, and I've decided, you know what, I think I can quit taking this. Is there any withdrawal symptoms off from it?
Great question, important question, and the answer is no. So naltrexone has no addictive properties, whereas with Suboxone there is a dependence, and if someone just abruptly stops taking it, it's dangerous.
Yes.
Naltrexone is different. It doesn't induce any high or euphoric effects. It's not addictive whatsoever. Yeah, so people, they take it, and what's interesting about this treatment is typically the longer they're on the treatment, the less they're taking the medicine. And there's no issue with stopping it right away because there's no dependency that happens with naltrexone.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you take the medicine, it reduces your cravings, does all that, and yes, that's good. You also talk about, when I was going through your website, you talk about you did it alone. You did it without any support. Talk about that and how having support will probably help you leaps and bounds, I'm sure.
Yeah. So when I first went on the medication in July of 2017, like I said, it was very hard for me to even get the prescription. There wasn't like anything out there at the time. And that has changed a lot over the years, thankfully. But first of all, there was no support for me to even go to. I didn't even like try to find something, first of all. And then second of all, I will say when I went on the medication, I kind of had the mindset that like, oh, great, this pill's going to help me drink less. I think maybe a lot of us Americans kind of think like, a pill will fix everything. And that might be a critique that I get when I advocate for the treatment. People are like, yeah, right, a pill is not really going to fix like a decade or 2 decades long alcohol addiction. And they're right. It's not the whole picture. So what happened to me a few months into the treatment is that I realized that my drinking was much more than just something I like to do in my free time. It was very much linked to coping and past traumas and wanting to just numb and escape, deal with life stresses and all of that. So a few months into the treatment, my drinking had reduced significantly, probably by 50%. And I wasn't craving alcohol as much. It was still there a bit. I was still drinking too much here and there, but I could see some, pretty significant changes. But what I noticed is that I was still relying on alcohol to cope because it had been such an ingrained habit for 10 years. I was using it to numb out from work or life stresses and things like that. And at that point in time, I realized, okay, the medication is doing its job to help quiet the urge. But, for example, I would not really feel like drinking, but I would down a bottle of wine anyway, because I wanted to just numb and escape. And it was at that moment that I realized there's more to it than just taking a pill. Like there's some inner work that needs to be done to heal the reasons why I'm drinking, learn different coping skills, cultivate different habits. I mean, I was a daily drinker for 10 years. It's how I spent all my free time. I was like genuinely like, what hobbies do I have outside of drinking? Like I didn't have other things. And so that's where I just went to a general therapist. They weren't supportive or knowledgeable about this treatment, but she helped me kind of heal some of the reasons why I was drinking in my life to begin with and work through those things. So all this to say that oftentimes when we struggle with alcohol use disorder, whether you're someone who binges a couple times a month or you're a daily drinker or somewhere in between there, usually there's more to it than just, I like to drink or, I like to get drunk on occasion. Usually there's more under the surface happening. And so where support can really help people like in our program, or people can work with a therapist or even just a mentor, that person can really help guide you through, like I kind of break this treatment into 3 different phases, guide you through what to expect at each phase, know when it's time to start working on coping skills, know when it's time to have alcohol-free days, know what to expect with, the treatment, because it's not a linear journey. It's not like you take the pill and everything's great. It can be up and down. Like the time frame for this treatment is about a year for most people, but it's kind of like a weight loss journey where it might take a year to lose all the weight you want to lose, but over that time you're losing weight, you're seeing changes, you're changing your lifestyle and all of that, you're getting healthier. And that's kind of how this treatment works. So I want people to realize that the medication is powerful. Like I would not be where I am today without it. I'm confident in that because I tried so many times to fix this issue. But like we say in our program, it's half the picture. Like you have to meet the medicine halfway. And what I loved about this treatment is it's gradual. It meets you where you're at. You don't have to call yourself an alcoholic or never touch alcohol again. Because when we're still addicted to the alcohol, the thought of never drinking again can be honestly terrifying for a lot of people, whether we can admit that or not. Yeah.
Now,
And
I have another question. Me personally, I can go months without drinking, but then I'll be invited out, and all of a sudden it's, let's see who's standing last at the end of the night, and then I'll go another 6 months and not drink. How does that help me? We're doing this.
Yeah.
I consider, like I said, I won't drink for 6 months. But somebody will invite me out, and all of a sudden it's a competition to see who doesn't die. And then the next day I'm at work. It's a normal thing to me. But it's not something that happens every night.
Yeah. Well, and then first thing I'll say in my view is like it's such a personal choice whether we feel like we have an issue with alcohol. Like if you're satisfied with that because it's so infrequent and maybe those nights you drink a lot, it's fun and it's like, oh, okay, no big deal. It happens once in a blue moon. It's a personal choice because no one's gonna like force you to change if you don't want to change. And so people will ask me like, am I drinking too much to do this treatment or am I not drinking enough to do this treatment? And the truth is with this protocol, it can work for mild alcohol use disorder up to severe alcohol use disorder. So like in your case, those instances that you drink, if you are unhappy with it and you're like, I still want to have a few beers with my friends, but I don't want to get wasted. Like, I want to have 3 beers instead of 13 or whatever it is. The medication can help quiet that urge or that, like when we have one drink, it kind of creates the need for the next and the next and the next. The medication can help quiet that. But there's nuances with your style of drinking where, if you drink once every few months, that's not enough for your brain to kind of unlearn the pattern. So in your instance, there might be more planned drinking sessions on the medicine just to help the brain learn what moderate drinking looks like more so. But I've seen it work for those styles of drinkers, more so people who we qualify as binge drinkers. Maybe they're drinking once a month or a couple times a month. And typically it's destructive. They go on a 3-day bender and they lose their job, things like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and just follow up real quick. On your end, where from 2017 you said, are you still able to hang out with people you hung out with? Are you able to go, if they're at the bar, are you able to go and drink water and just hang out with them and not have that pressure in your head? Or do you
100%. Yeah, it's amazing what it did to, like, it really feels like it erased the alcohol addiction from my brain. Like, one way I like to describe it is I've never been a smoker. So I'm never tempted by cigarettes or I've never done, cocaine or whatever. And so if everyone's doing it around me, like I have no temptation, I have no urge to do it. And that's what's happened with alcohol. Before this treatment, I would try to quit drinking and I'd be in that setting and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to drink. I'm annoyed. I wish I could drink. Why are they drinking and I'm not? But with this treatment, it's like the addiction was just erased from my brain over the course of 9 months. And now my husband drinks. He doesn't have a problem, but I don't care being around it. I could be at a bar. The temptation is just not there. And what's cool about this treatment is if I really wanted to drink again, I would just take naltrexone before. And I'd probably be able to have 1 or 2 drinks. I probably wouldn't be able to have more than that because it just gives you this off switch to where you're satisfied. Like the thought of another one sounds a little bit repulsive, to be honest. So I tell people I can technically drink whenever I want to, as much as I want to, but the way this treatment worked for me, I just lost all interest in alcohol. And so, yeah, I can be around it and there's no chatter in my head or craving or urge to drink. And I don't take naltrexone anymore either because I was only taking it 1 hour before drinking.
Okay. All right. Hey, we got a statement coming in with a question. It's from Z David, KLA. As you know, our founder fought the demon for 40 years and went straight to no drinking on January 26th. Are there statistics of those who go cold turkey and stay off as compared to those in groups or taking meds?
That's a good question. So, and I kind of get pushback for this. Like, I never knock AA. My dad is sober through AA. So I am so thankful that this program, that AA exists. And I think when sometimes people, they get mad at me for suggesting that there's an alternative treatment to AA if AA hasn't worked for someone. So just want to put that out there. I never want to like discount AA. In my view, it's like if we have 100 different treatment options we can offer people, this one doesn't work, okay, try this. This one doesn't work, okay, try this. Like the more, the better, I think. But if you look at the data for AA, and it's difficult to collect the data with 100% accuracy because it is anonymous, but the success rate of AA is estimated to be less than 10%. There's a study that I often reference. It's from, I think, maybe 10, 20 years ago, but I'm confident not much has changed since then. But it estimates that 80% or more of people who go to like an inpatient rehab for alcohol addiction, 80% or more will relapse within 6 months. So the current treatment system of just like strict abstinence, it works for some people. It absolutely does. But in my view, what I've seen is it fails a large majority of people. And my understanding of why that is really because of the neurobiology of alcohol addiction. When we abruptly quit drinking, we're sober, but what happens is the brain has actually changed and is addicted to the alcohol. And so when we quit drinking and the brain isn't getting the same reward that it's used to getting from the alcohol, what happens is a phenomenon known as the alcohol deprivation effect. And this has been researched, people can look it up. What the alcohol deprivation effect shows is that when someone is addicted to alcohol and they quit drinking, what happens as time goes on is their brain is actually deprived of the endorphin reward it's used to getting from the alcohol. And so it goes into a deprivation from the alcohol. And when we're deprived of anything, what happens, our craving for it increases. And what the research shows is that if and when alcohol is reintroduced again, people binge on it. And so a lot of people will talk about they get stretches of sobriety and then they binge. And I believe that's because the brain is still addicted and we go into deprivation, we're craving it, and it leads people to relapse. So that's kind of my view on why abstinence-based treatments, so many people end up relapsing through them. But not everyone. And the statistic with the Sinclair Method protocol I'm talking about, the clinical success rate of this treatment is around 78%. And I've seen that to be a success rate. I've seen that to be true in the people I've worked with. If someone's willing to take the medication and see the treatment through to the year it takes, most people will succeed with it. There's a percentage that don't, 22 estimated. But with this treatment, the success rate is, much higher than traditional abstinence-based treatments. Now the question was more of like people going cold turkey on their own versus groups. I don't think that's really been collected because if someone's just like quitting on their own, I don't think anyone's collected that data. I could be wrong, but yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it did. It covered that question good. And from my own personal experience in the early 90s, I went through a 12-step program. And, I went for a while, got my 30-day chip, my 60-day, my 90-day, kept going. And haha, Rich, yes, that was the 1990s. But anyway, I always felt, and maybe not everybody feels this way, when I left an AA meeting, I wanted to go have a drink.
I always hear that from people, honestly.
Because that's all they talked about was drinking. And so I quit going to meetings and I quit cold turkey and was doing pretty good for about 18 months. And then one night I convinced myself that, hey, I can do this. I can go have 2 beers. And next thing I know, I'm waking up somewhere I don't know where I'm at. And but then, with a lot of counseling, coaching, mentoring, figured out, why I was drinking.
Yeah.
And once I figured that out, I can pretty much, I hardly ever drink alone. And my big problem is if I'm with people. If I'm with people who are drinking, I want to have a beer. And but I'm working on that as well, because I've got a good friend that every time we were together and away from home, that's all we did. And that stopped on January 26th. So
Wow.
that's good. That's good.
That's great. That's great. And I will say too, I'm talking about a specific way to use naltrexone for people who are currently drinking and want to reduce, but there's lots of literature to show that this medication can help with craving as well. So for people who are abstinent and they want to stay abstinent,
Mm-hmm.
naltrexone can help quiet that craving and
Okay.
compulsion, just for people to be aware. There's not like one way to use it that's right. There's different ways. And though I specialize in this drink reduction approach, I get success stories from people a lot who are like, oh, I'm 2 years sober. It got rid of my craving. So just to be aware that it is used in that way as well.
Okay. All right. And like I said, Rich, he put up there, and that was the same thing with the Army program at that time. You learn drinking games and have a bash for your graduation. That And yeah, there's all kinds of bad stuff that was, because at the Army drinking program, if you went to the resident course, they gave you antabuse.
Mm.
And you would not believe some of the intriguing methods that you come up with to get a buzz when you're taking antabuse. Yeah, we won't go into them here, but yeah, they do it.
Wow. Yeah, with antabuse, I mean, it's different because it makes you really sick if you drink. So it's like an aversion therapy, right? But it doesn't quiet the craving, right? It's just, it makes you sick if you drink on it?
It makes you sick. Yes. If you ingest alcohol through your mouth and stomach, it will make you sick.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yes. Yes. I think the big thing for people now to do it with is coffee. And also different things. You know, we'd start IVs on one another and spike them with a syringe full of vodka. Or
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yo, you had a problem.
Well, yeah.
I never went that far.
Got another question here from Pepper Daddy. What was your first moment of realization that your drinking had become a problem?
That's a good question. Actually, yeah, there is a moment that it was pretty clear to me. But to be honest, like, I was always questioning it. I wasn't convinced it was a problem, because admitting I had a problem meant, to my knowledge, I could never drink again. I had to go to AA. I'm an alcoholic. And I just I couldn't embody that identity. Like, I didn't want to believe those things, though society may have labeled me an alcoholic. Anyhow, the first time I remember where it scared me, where I was like, okay, this is maybe not in my control anymore. Because I should say, when I started drinking, I was naive to how addictive alcohol was. I thought it was a party phase in my early 20s. This is what everyone's supposed to do. And as I get older, I'll kind of rein it in. I was very naive to how I have alcoholism in my family. So I was kind of ripe for developing the addiction. But I thought it was more of a logical or conscious choice. And I was disciplined in other areas of my life. So I figured I could be disciplined with the alcohol when the time came, as I got serious with my career and things like that. But what happened for me is I was drinking one day and I was sitting there buzzed, like I used to drink just straight vodka, sitting there buzzed. And I could not remember the last day that I had gone alcohol free. Like, I'd been drinking every day for at least a year and binge drinking a lot every day. And that scared me a little bit, because I was like, I literally haven't had one alcohol-free day in the past year or more, because I just couldn't remember when it was. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a 7-day break from alcohol. And So the next day I started this 7-day break and I made it the 7 days, but I was shocked at how difficult it was because all I wanted to do during the 7 days was drink. I was thinking about drinking, wanting to drink, annoyed that I couldn't be drinking, even to the point where at like 7 o'clock at night, I was taking NyQuil and going to bed just to like get out of that like craving time when I was usually drinking, just to go to bed and not have to deal with the urge. And so I white knuckled the 7 days. I made it, but by day 8, I was back to binge drinking again. And so I was constantly in this cycle of trying to take breaks, whether it was a day break or 2 days or a week or a couple months. And then I would binge drink again. So I remember that day, that was the first time I felt scared about my drinking and tried genuinely to kind of like thinking, oh, taking a 7-day break will prove that I don't have an issue or maybe reset my habits. But it proved that I had a problem. And when I started drinking again, it was just right back where it was. And it was getting worse and worse over the years. But it was confusing because looking around at the time, especially, I was hanging around with a lot of people who drank like I did. And you look at society, like 5K runs, they have beer at the end. There's wine at the grocery store, like wine tasting and beer, like it's just everywhere. And so I was like, I don't know, do I have a problem? Like I couldn't quite identify if I did, though I knew my drinking had a lot of consequences and I didn't have control when I drank.
Yeah. Well, thank God you said you didn't do drugs or smoke, because a lot of times when you don't do the drinking, you turn to smoking and doing other things to get your mind off of the drinking. So at least you have it set that you wouldn't do any of that to begin with, so you don't become an addict another way.
Well, I did do some drugs and I did use marijuana a lot, but I didn't smoke cigarettes or do like get addicted to hard drugs. But I definitely experimented with drugs a little bit here and there.
Nope, just a little bit.
But by God's grace, I did not get addicted. Like it was always very difficult for me to find them, and it would be very random that I would do them. And so it was very few and far between, thankfully.
Well, I grew up in one of the biggest cities in New Jersey, and it wasn't hard to find any of that. And I did that for a long time, and then I just stopped cold.
Wow.
Nothing. And honestly, I haven't went back to all of that to start that again. So it's a mindset sometimes. But I say when I'm drinking, if I don't drink, I probably smoke more because I have nothing else to do. You know, and that's the problem. You know, I have to watch that.
And that's my big thing. Well, of course, you know, Stephen, you say I'm an old man.
At least a year older than me.
My big thing, and you know, you talk about the cravings and stuff. I never crave it except for like if I'm outside working and get real hot, nothing quenches my thirst like a cold beer. And I think it's, you know, the bubbles hitting the back of the throat. So now I drink LaCroix bubbly water, and that kind of, I slam one of them after cutting the grass, and that it helps.
Yeah. Do you ever drink the non-alcoholic beers, or you don't touch them?
No. And I like the taste of beer. You know, good, high quality, and I might buy one and just to have it at the house.
Yeah.
It might sit there 6 days. It might sit there 6 months, and then drink it.
Yeah.
And just to enjoy it. But, you know, and I don't think I ever really set out when I was drinking to get drunk, but that's sometimes how it ended up.
Yeah. See, and it's interesting that you can like very occasionally moderate your drinking now, whereas like when in AA, it's like once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, you know, you can never touch it again. Do you agree with that philosophy, or like through your experience, what do you view?
I think it's a lot of, it takes a lot of personal discipline. I watched my dad do it because, you know, he was one of these guys. He would, you know, he's a hard worker, and he would work all week And then on Friday night, he would come home and he'd open a fifth of whiskey. And that fifth of whiskey was gone that night. But, he'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go right back to his day. And he did that for years. And then some things changed. He started drinking just beer. And things got a little better after that. And then he quit drinking totally for a while. And then when he got his cancer, he decided, you know what? I'm going to have 2 rum and cokes a night because I can. And so that's what he did for years. And he did all right with it. And he showed a lot of discipline because I knew he was an alcoholic.
Well,
And
sorry, go ahead.
And that's how I do it. And, if I'm with someone that don't drink, I don't have to drink.
Yeah.
And because generally, like I said, at my age, 2 beers and it's time for me to take a nap.
Yeah. And the hangovers get worse too, right? They're like, I can't.
God, yeah. You have those 2-day hangovers? Yes.
Well, see, that's my problem. I normally don't get hangovers. My wife's been cursing me for over 27 years. So she would have to push me up a flight of stairs because I could hardly walk or talk. And then the next morning I was up at 5 in the morning and I go to work.
Wow.
She's like, I don't know how the hell you do it.
Wow.
It's just the way the mind works. I've just never had that problem where I was like, oh my God, I can't do that again. Now I'm just going to do it. But I get up and go to work the next morning.
But we're going to kind of switch gears here and go into the coaching part of it because I think that this here is tantamount in it because once I got some counseling and dealt with some stuff, did a deep dive, figured out why I was drinking, why I was doing these destructive behaviors that I was doing, that actually made it easier to quit or to slow down or to moderate what I was drinking. So why don't we talk about now? And what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, this is totally online, correct?
Yep, it's totally online.
So it's not like a residential lockdown facility or anything like that. Okay, nope. So let's talk about the coaching and mentoring part of it.
Yeah, and what you shared, and I want to acknowledge where people oftentimes start this treatment, myself included. It's like when we have alcohol issues, it can induce a lot of shame and isolation. Like I preferred to drink alone because nobody was watching me. I could drink whatever I wanted to. No one was judging me. And I find with people when they start this treatment, they hear about a pill that can help them drink less. And they're like, just give me the medication. Like, I don't want any help. I did that myself. I was like, cool, a pill's going to help me drink less. But what I've observed, especially I've been coaching people since about 2018 in individual sessions and in groups, and then launched Thrive in 2021, where group and one-on-one coaching and peer mentorship is a huge component of our program. As you said, I really believe it's paramount to success because when we are in alcohol use disorder, the way we're thinking, the way we're viewing alcohol, the reasons why we drink, oftentimes all of that stuff is operating on an unconscious level. It's just automatic. Like it's 5 o'clock and my brain tells me it's time to drink, or I feel this emotion. My brain tells me it's time to drink. And as we start on the medication, a lot of people describe it like we get space in our brain to where maybe it's 5 o'clock. We have an urge to drink, but the urge isn't like super strong. Maybe we can like sit with it a little bit and start to question it. But a lot of people, what I find is their patterns of drinking and their dynamics with alcohol are just so automatic and unconscious and simply habitual. And it's hard to see that when you are the one that is in it and living it every day for years or decades. And so it sounds like what happened with your experience working with a counselor, just having someone who's gone through it themselves and they're, a trained coach in this specific treatment protocol. It's not about like pressuring someone or making them feel bad for their mistakes. It's about asking the right questions to help them personally uncover, well, why did I want to drink at 5 o'clock? Why did I have a fourth beer when I really didn't feel like it? Why do I feel the need to drink, in response to these emotions? What are the beliefs that I'm carrying around about alcohol? Like sometimes people start our program and they've been daily drinking for 20 or 30 years. And they're like, I can't imagine an alcohol-free day. Like the thought of that just terrifies them. And so something we'll gradually do with them, for example, is start to shift that belief, because just by having that simple little belief that maybe seems innocent, like, oh, I can't imagine having an alcohol-free day, we can kind of chalk it off. But that little belief is driving your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and your behaviors. And so as people can kind of start to work with someone who helps them uncover beliefs they have around alcohol and the role it's playing in their life, they can start to question them. And it's really that light of awareness that helps people change habits. What I see happen for most people on this treatment, there's kind of this pattern I notice where they start naltrexone, the medication starts to quiet their craving, their drinking goes down. But then after a month or two on the treatment, they often hit a plateau where they realize naltrexone is doing its part, but now I've got to change habits. Like what happens with the medicine is like it reduces the urge to drink. So people will tell me, I didn't even feel like drinking last night, but I did it anyway. Kind of like how if we're not hungry, but we have a bag of chips and we eat the whole bag of chips. Like I wasn't hungry, but I was like eating them to stuff emotions or because I was bored. We can do the same thing with alcohol. And so that's where kind of the work comes in, where we talk about meeting the medicine halfway, working with a coach or a peer, just to kind of think about your relationship with alcohol and become curious and ask questions, just so you're not stuck in, habitual thought patterns and behavioral patterns that are perpetuating the alcohol use issues that you really want to work to resolve. So it can be really helpful. And again, like our program is, we're not about judging. We're not about labels. We're not about putting pressure on people. It's self-paced, because when people are able to set their own goals and progress at the pace that works for them, they stay engaged in the treatment longer. They feel empowered in the treatment, as opposed to like, you have to go this treatment, you can't drink, you're made to feel like less than a human. I just heard horror stories of people being in treatment and detox and AA, and not to say they're all bad. I'm sure there's wonderful ones out there, but I work with a lot of people that kind of come from traditional treatment into this method in our program. And I've heard these stories. So it's really about helping someone realize that you're not stuck. This is a learned behavior, the alcohol use issues, and it can be unlearned because your brain can change. You're not permanently, an alcoholic for the rest of your life, or an addict. Like those labels, they can help some people, but they can be very burdensome and stigmatizing. And for me, when I tried to call myself an alcoholic, it just made me want to drink more. Because I was like, well, I just want to do what alcoholics do. Then I'm just going to drink.
Yeah.
Again, it's helpful for some, but we're more about realizing that, like, just like you can gain weight and you can lose it, we're not going to call you a foodaholic and make you feel bad. It's like with this treatment. Yeah, you learned an alcohol use disorder, but you can unlearn it. It's not a big deal. And then you can move on with your life. And that's what most people do. Like after a year on the treatment, they, stop coming to meetings, and it's not because they're relapsing. It's because they're like, okay, I'm healed. Like now what? Like, let me focus on life. It's not like, they have to stay in treatment or be an alcoholic for the rest of their life.
Yes. Got another question come up there from Safe Place 66. What do you say to someone who doesn't want to quit drinking but knows they need help?
Honestly, this is a treatment that is ideal for that type of person, assuming that if they know they need help and they want to get help, but they're not ready to quit. This treatment, what it does is it really meets someone where they're at. So like, even though I wanted to get this alcohol issue under control in my life, the thought of never drinking again, or even, trying to go sober, was terrifying. And so what I did when I did this treatment and how we work with people is like, don't change anything about your drinking, except you're going to start this medication beforehand. And that's like the first couple weeks, month of the treatment, just kind of easing into it, getting used to the medication, getting into the habit of taking it, noticing what's different, but not trying to force too much change, because just by taking the pill, you're starting to chip away at the learned behavior in the brain. And then from there, that's where they can springboard into the behaviors and habit change and lifestyle changes over time, because the urgency and desire and compulsion to drink has started to quiet down. So for someone who can't imagine quitting drinking or doesn't want to quit drinking, this treatment really meets them where they are and helps them gradually reduce over time. I would say probably 90% of people who join our program have a goal to moderate. They don't want to quit forever. They want to have champagne at a wedding or beer on a Friday night, but they want to be a normal, moderate drinker. And that's a totally doable goal on this treatment. And then what happens for other people like me is they go on the treatment with a goal to drink moderately, but then after a year, 2 years, 3 years doing the protocol, like we get to a place where we just genuinely forget to drink. We're like not interested in drinking anymore. It just doesn't appeal, the desire is not there. So a percentage of people end up just quitting drinking kind of unplanned through this treatment because they just lose interest in it.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, it's not, like they say, it's not that the drinking is bad, it's the abuse and the over drinking.
Yeah.
If somebody is kind of on that verge of, and we're going to take it back into suicide or doing destructive behaviors, alcohol really only adds to that. After you've drank a 12 pack, you're like, well, yeah, I can drive my car 100 miles an hour through town and be cool, but no, you can't. But yeah, slowing that down, and I think it's a great program. I went through the reviews on the Thrive website. I could not find a bad review. There are a lot of success stories out there. I love it. And I think it's a great program. I mean, for our listeners out there, if there's any of you out there having a problem, get on there, look up Thrive Alcohol Recovery, and check it out. If you've tried other things, hey, this might be the thing that works for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like with our program, we just pour our heart and soul into it. And like my core team, we've all been through the treatment ourselves and know what it's like to struggle and get on the other side. And so I feel really blessed that the people that work with me and Thrive, they're as passionate about it as I am, because it's just so life-changing, and it's unbelievable that it's not more well-known with all the research behind it. There's been news segments recently. People can look into it, like naltrexone in the news or Sinclair Method in the news. Like PBS did something, New York Times, Good Morning America, Psychology Today. It's been getting more traction lately, but it's still, I think the statistic I saw recently is less than 2% of people with alcohol use disorder are offered medications, which is just crazy. So more awareness.
I tell you what, they got a medication out there for everything now. It's been around forever. Get it out there. Get it used.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, Katie, our hour has just about slipped on by us.
Yes. It's been a great conversation. I'm thankful for the people who asked questions too. I hope this information was helpful.
Yes, we are too. Thank you for those questions. And, all of your links have been shared. People, get out there. If you're having a problem, check out the Thrive Alcohol Recovery. I read through all the website today. I think it looks like they've got some great counselors and mentors in there. And, this could be the thing that helps you. And now I will tell you, this episode will be released on September 23rd. out to all of our streaming services. And then a Substack recap will come out tonight, and it will be on YouTube forever. So you can get out there and look at it, share it, do whatever you want to do with it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated the conversation. It was wonderful to meet you both.
It's been great. And it's good to talk to somebody who's actually been through it, because like they always, these folks that have never been through it or whatever, try to be counselors and stuff. And like the old saying, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. So,
yeah.
Well,
And that's the thing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Stephen.
When I went to the doctor and we talked about my weight problem, he wanted to prescribe me shots for that, but that was pushed down because you have to be a diabetic to lose weight. You can't use these shots for that. And when he brought up the smoking, the one thing he said was, when you are ready, we will have that discussion. He didn't tell me I needed to stop. He didn't tell me to stop. He was like, when you are ready, we'll have that discussion. And that's you have to get there. You have to get that mindset. All right, I'm ready to do this. Let me do this. And then you move forward. And this is how you're helping people on that end of it. And that's like the greatest thing. You're not pushing people. When you want help, come and see me, and this is what we'll do.
Yeah, because it puts it like we're capable human beings. Like, we don't need to make people feel less than or like they should be, more ready than they are. I've worked with people who started the treatment a couple months and they realize, oh, I'm not ready. They put the medication away and then they come back 6 months or a year later. Like, okay, I'm ready now, and it takes time to get to that place, because especially if you've been drinking for years or decades, it's touching a lot of areas of your life. So it's a big change. But what I love about it is it's gradual. It's not like you have to figure it out overnight. It's gentle and helps you become empowered over alcohol, ultimately.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Now, Katie, it's time to put you on the hot seat.
Uh-oh.
And this is something we do of all of our guests. We need 3 non-negotiables from you that you have to do every day for your day to be complete.
For me personally?
Yes.
Well, I'm a very strong Christian, so definitely prayer and Bible reading every day and talking to God every day. Like, that became a part of my life after I quit drinking. So that's huge for me. It really is.
Awesome.
Getting good sleep at night, like, that's something as I get older, I realize how much good sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, I wake up feeling like I'm hungover, even though I don't drink anymore. So I'm still working on that, but getting a good sleep routine. And probably, I don't do it every day, but movement and getting outside and exercise is really helpful for me as well. So those are the 3 things I would say.
All right. That's, praying, because, he is the reason we're all here. Good sleep. I tell you, I can sleep and get out there and move, people. Get out there and move. Yeah. Stephen, anything last thoughts before we go?
You can check us out on Reads Across America on iHeart at 3 p.m. Eastern every Monday, for those who didn't know. And once again, if you feel in the darkness, reach out to us. If you can't get anybody else you want to talk to, email us. We'll call you. We'll text you. Whatever you need to do. Katie, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with us. It was a great show and very educational.
Yes, Katie, it was great. Really enjoyed it. And MisFit Nation, Tuesday crew, thank you for coming out here and joining us tonight. Go out there, stack your victories, do great things, and we'll see you next week. We love you.
Be good to everybody. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the MisFit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great MisFit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
MisFit Nation. MisFit Nation.